in history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.
We've had a good camp, we've had a relaxed camp. Everything, touch wood, everything's gone well. Joe's had an enjoyable time. He's very focused, he's very relaxed. We're both aware of the significance of this challenge, but it's been a good camp.
Does it feel different this time?
No, and I tell you what, it was very important for us that we kept things very much the same as of the program that we've had for the last 5 years. We've got a formula that works for us, and we're not going to try and reinvent something just because we're in, one of boxing's biggest fights this year, the first unification fight for 8 years. So, we decided that we made a couple of small changes. We tweaked a couple of small things, but very much we've kept things similar to what we've had right throughout Joe's career.
Do you think that can be a mistake sometimes that some fighters do, is when it comes to a huge fight, they think, we've got to do it different, we've got to do something, and then when it comes to fight night, it all feels slightly different to how you've been doing it before?
100%. A lot of people try to be someone that they're not and try and do something that their body's not used to responding to. And I think it's, when you put yourself in that position, I think you're asking for trouble. So, we've kept things very, very much similar to what we're used to.
Tell us about the facility here. You've got everything you need. How long have you been here? How long have you been working on it?
Well, we put this together more or less during the Huey Fury fight.
Right.
And we went back, we were going to be fighting in New Zealand in December. The fight never happened. So when we started putting the Joshua fight together, this gym was already set up, and Joe was excited about coming back and having our first training camp here.
And you've got pictures on the wall of, as you put it, the journey. It's been a very successful one up until now. Obviously, it won't get much bigger than March the 31st in Cardiff. Just how much are you looking forward to it, first of all, as a coach?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. This is the fight that I'm highly excited about, and this is the fight that has really excited Joseph Parker. He's always wanted to test himself against the best, and a lot of people believe that Anthony Joshua is the best. So it's a fight that we're very happy to be the partner in. I believe that the size of this challenge, the size of the occasion, will bring out the best in Joseph Parker. I think that the bigger the challenge, the better the performance. And that has been the case in every time that we've challenged him in the past, and I believe it'll be the case when we challenge him on March 31. When
we spoke before the Huey Fury fight in London, a lot of the talk from you and Joseph and also David was that this is the market, the UK market at the moment is one you want to be part of because of all the talent there, and obviously Joshua at the top of the tree with the belts. Was that always the strategy, and at what point did you realise, right, the UK at the moment is somewhere that we need to focus in on? That's somewhere that we think we can make a real impression.
Well, right back till mid-2016 when Joe became the mandatory with the IBF, our path then was to travel to the UK and fight Joshua. And this is before, both guys had won belts. So we've known for the last couple of years that this is where we want to be. This is where they're getting the big gates. This is where they're doing the big numbers. This is the business of heavyweight boxing at the moment. And sure, it just makes sense for us to be there. It doesn't come any bigger than this fight. The first unification fight in 8 years. 2 undefeated heavyweight champions.
A lot of people are sort of misreading the situation here, that Joe's coming from New Zealand and 80,000 people against a big star like Joshua, but obviously Joseph's been on pay-per-view in New Zealand before. He's a huge star in his own country and gets a lot of people through the gate. This isn't an occasion that's going to trouble him, is it? Do you feel he's going to grow from it?
Well, I can't really answer that question until it actually happens. But one thing I can tell you is Joe's been hitting pay-per-view cards since his 5th fight in New Zealand. Every fight we've been under the microscope down there. We're a much smaller country, but we've given and put huge media in front of him for year after year after year, which has prepared us for an occasion like this. Sure, the size of it is greatly different, but the procedure is exactly the same, and he is trained and he is programmed for this. And I believe that it doesn't matter if it's 800, 8,000 or 80,000 people. The same Joseph Parker who enters the ring in every other fight will enter the ring for this fight against Anthony Joshua.
And as you said, he's been very strict on his diet. You're going to get him moving a lot, obviously playing to his strengths. I wanted to ask you about the King of Pies comment. Did that hurt the camp?
No, not at all. You know, Joe loves pies, and Joe will be the first one.
What's his favourite pie?
Joe will be. I don't know. You know, I couldn't tell you what his favourite. I think he has lots of favourite pies. The bottom line is this: like, you know, when he's not in camp, he'll have a pie. He likes hamburgers. Yeah. He likes pies. There's no secret about that. He's in camp now. I can tell you this: he hasn't had a pie for the last 6-7 weeks.
So he'll have plenty after the fight.
Hopefully he'll have a celebration pie. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Joe's a grown man. You know, if Joe wants to go to the strip, he'll go to the strip. You know, Joe goes to hockey games. He goes to UFC fights. He goes to major boxing fights. We have a really nice dinner every 2 weeks on the strip. It's something that we've done all this camp. In fact, we've got one coming up this Saturday. So it's not like we keep him away from the strip. You know, obviously, for a fight of this magnitude, or any fight when Joe's in camp, he's not going to the nightclubs. Yeah. He's not out drinking. He's not out partying. But you know, he's a young guy, and he's very disciplined this camp. But he likes to enjoy himself, and he likes watching sports.
Just a final one before you start training, Joe. Obviously a huge fight for the heavyweight division in New York a couple of days ago. Deontay Wilder retained his crown by stopping Luis Ortiz. First of all, your first reaction to that, was it as expected, you feel?
Well, I don't know if it was as expected. You know, both Joe and I thought that the first 4 or 5 rounds in this fight were always going to be dangerous rounds. You know, I think it was a fight of 2 halves. The first half was pretty damn ordinary with the crowd booing and everything else, but once the knockdown came at the end of the 5th round, it turned into a highly excitable fight. And I think more than anything else, it was a good result for boxing. I think the heavyweight division would be better with Joshua there. With Wilder there as one of the champions. I think we found out a lot of things about Deontay Wilder in this fight. You know, it's by far 40 professional fights. This was his biggest ever challenge against an aging Ortiz. But we found out that Deontay can take a punch, that he can be hurt and come back from a really dark place. And we also saw that he has a massive will to win. So, you know, some very good, positive things came out of that fight. You know, I said to a lot of people, I thought that Anthony Joshua's fight against Vladimir Klitschko was his career-defining fight. And I think after 40 professional fights, this fight for Deontay Wilder was his career-defining fight. So the only thing I need now, I need a career-defining fight for Joseph Parker.
Wilder said in the post-fight press conference that he felt that his victory over Luis Ortiz was better than Joshua's against Klitschko. Where do you stand on that debate?
I'm not going to get into that discussion. They were both great performances. Both guys came back from a very dark place. Both guys were hurt. Both guys were in a lot of trouble of losing, and they found ways to win. And that's what a real champion does. He finds a way to make it win.
Now, just final one. Tyson Fury was stripped of his Ring Magazine belt. And the Ring Magazine have said they won't sanction Parker against Joshua for that belt because they don't feel it's 1 against 2. They feel 1 against 2 will only be the winner of this against Deontay Wilder. Do you think that is correct? Or do you think the fighting card is worthy of the Ring Magazine belt as well?
Well, you know, really, we don't even get into that discussion. That's whatever Ring Magazine wants to do. Like, I'm very happy for Joe to feature on Ring Magazine on the cover of it at the moment.
Exactly.
You know, I think that eventually a Ring Magazine champion will be crowned again. And you know, we just had 2 undefeated heavyweights fight over the weekend. We've got 2 more undefeated heavyweights fighting in 3.5 weeks. And when all the heavyweights get together, eventually there will be a Ring Magazine heavyweight champion.
In history, all 4 belts in the cruiserweight division will belong proudly around the waist of one man.